DreamWorks' latest animated feature, The Bad Guys 2, just hit theaters, and wow, what a thrill ride. This movie oozes with its own unique style, zooming along at a great pace, is jam-packed full with action, and has such a lovable and charming cast of characters that it's almost impossible not to just have a blast watching this film, no matter what age you are. I was a huge fan of the first Bad Guys movie, and this sequel does not disappoint in the slightest, and in fact, it even significantly raises the stakes from its predecessor. Everything in this movie feels bigger and grander, and I loved it so much. It's by no means a perfect film. There were a few things I think could have been improved upon, which I will touch on later in the video, but it's such a great and fun movie from start to finish, and I'm gonna cover what I loved about it first. For starters, I wanna talk animation. One of the major appeals to me of the original Bad Guys flick was the animation style. I just adored the way that the film was animated, and here, much how like Across the Spider-Verse took the animation of Into the Spider-Verse and expanded and improved upon it, Bad Guys 2 takes the visual style of its predecessor and dials it up to 11. For me personally, even regular scenes and environments where nothing particularly exciting is happening kept my full attention just simply because of how visually appealing the art style was to me. It's just such a charming world, and I really had a lot of fun watching it. And when the scenes actually do kick into high gear and get intense, oh my goodness, the animation is some of the best I've seen in a long time. I'll touch on those action sequences in a moment, but getting back to the art direction of this film, it's just so visually dynamic that it can hold your attention throughout the runtime. The cinematography and lighting and hyper-stylized shots are just breathtaking and are sure to keep you engaged the whole time. It's a movie that just visually looks so good. Now, getting to the action, sheesh dude, this movie absolutely kills it when it comes to these action sequences. The first Bad Guys didn't have a ton of action, but when it did, those scenes were highly exhilarating. However, in this movie, dude, it almost feels like we're watching a Mission Impossible movie at times, because there are so many car chases or hand-to-hand combat fights and superb stunts. And not only did this sequel have much more action than its predecessor, but the action was somehow even more enjoyable, with clean, surprisingly intense choreography for a PG movie, and some very creative and impressive action set pieces. I am not being hyperbolic when I say that several moments of this movie, particularly in regards to the final fight sequences, feel very cinematic. The creative team behind the film know exactly how to perfectly weave thrilling action, compelling music, and stylistic animation to achieve moments of heart-pounding cinema, and it's just so entertaining to watch on the big screen. Every action sequence in this film has its own unique feel due to the vastly different environments and circumstances, so they always feel fresh and don't end up feeling redundant or too similar to each other, which help keeps each one super enjoyable. And like I mentioned before, the animation of these fight scenes is just stellar, utilizing the medium of animation to craft highly stylized shots and punchy choreography that is sure to entertain both children and adults alike. The main cast of characters were maybe the best aspect of the original Bad Guys, and in this one, the writing team does an excellent job building upon the character work that was set up in the first film, giving each team member more personality and developing their relationships as they face adversity. It takes the changes the Bad Guys underwent in the first movie and builds upon those changes, showcasing how they're struggling with being good now and how their old nature still beckons them. And I enjoy the fact that the sequel is properly building upon the things set up in the first movie. In Bad Guys 1, at times it almost felt like Mr. Wolf was hard carrying a lot of the charisma and story, but in the Bad Guys 2, those same responsibilities get distributed a little more evenly in my opinion with the rest of the team, and I think that the film is all the better for it. I also really love how this movie builds upon the shifting relationship dynamics between characters such as Diane and Mr. Wolf, or the Bad Guys and Commissioner Misty. It's nice to see how those things play out and change from one film to another, so yeah, I enjoyed that. Additionally, I thought that the villains in this film were much stronger than Professor Marmalade. They have a scene-stealing presence about them when they show up, especially Kitty, who perfectly walks the line between being a calculated criminal mastermind and a wild, vicious beast who's a threat, with just enough of a backstory to make her not just another ordinary, bland villain who is evil just for the sake of it. Finally, getting to some of the downsides with this film, however, I want to start with the characters, which may sound sort of weird since I just praised the characters in this movie like 10 seconds ago. As entertaining and enjoyable as the cast is to watch, honestly, there is not a ton of emotional depth to be found throughout most of this story, or at least there is not as much as there was in the first movie. Don't get me wrong, there are hints of it here and there, but there aren't really many character-shaking hurdles to overcome or super compelling traumas to triumph over. Like, if you hold this film up to Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, it absolutely goes toe-to-toe with those cinematic masterpieces and categories like animation and action, but when it comes to the emotional development and depth that those movies had compared to this one, it's not even close. And that's not a major knock against this film. The focus seemed to be more on having a great time and a fun story rather than super mature or deep character growth. But if you can do both, then that's how you end up with future animated classics like Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots. And this film just falls a little short of that. Additionally, while I love the Mach 7 speed of this film's plot, as it works a lot of the time to keep things exciting and entertaining, at times it does also lead to things happening just a little too quickly in my opinion. Like, moments that would have benefited from getting a little more time and breathing room are sometimes rushed to their detriment. Sometimes something will happen and you'll be like, wait, what? And then the movie will just speed by it and you kind of have to say, oh well, and just accept it to get the fullest amount of enjoyment out of this movie. Not a huge flaw, but again, a noticeable one. And lastly, as much as I love the wacky nature of this world, sometimes I feel like the wacky, unbelievable elements almost sort of take away from the weight or stakes of the story. Like, a scene or part of the movie would have been a little more compelling if it was portrayed a little more realistically, or if it was grounded in more realism. But hey, that's just me. Overall, I really enjoyed The Bad Guys 2, and I highly recommend it to everyone who loves animated movies. I had so much fun watching this film. I just saw it in theaters and I really wouldn't mind watching it again right away. It's just such a fun time. It's an improvement over the first Bad Guys in my humble opinion, which is rare for me to enjoy a sequel more than the original, and I definitely recommend it to everyone regardless of age. There is something here for you. Unless you're like really young, because yeah, there are some pretty raunchy undertones and surprisingly violent choreography at times, so parents be warned that it is a bit of a harder PG movie. But what did you think of the movie if you've seen it? If you haven't seen it, are you excited to watch it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, then I definitely appreciate it if you left a like and subscribed. Maybe check out some of my other review videos, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Have a great day.